Good day everyone. Today we start with calculus, factor theorem, and this will be lesson 1, and I trust that we will take the things that we've learned from the remainder theorem and that we can apply that here in the factor theorem and use that to assist us to get to the answer. So what does factor theorem imply to us? The function is divided by a linear polynomial and it is a factor, then there is no remainder. For example, 16 divided by 4 is equal to 4. X squared minus x minus 6 divided by x minus 3, then the answer is x plus 2, no remainder. I want to reflect back to a quadratic expression or equation, how we used to factor that. How did we factorize that? Some of us are familiar with, you open the brackets, put the x in front, then you look at the factors of 6 that could get you a 5. So 6 and 1, 3 and 2, 2 and 3, and then you have to decide what goes where, and this one was a bit tricky, but we managed to get to the answer. Others are familiar with listing the factors of x squared, which is x and x, then list all the factors of 6, that can give you a result of 6, 6 and 1, 1 and 6, 3 and 2, 2 and 3. Then because the 6 is negative, one of the two factors must be negative, so we made the top one negative. So we added to get the result. So we add, we get negative 5, we get positive 5, we get negative 1, we get positive 1. But the one we are looking for is negative 5. So negative 5 is then obtained by taking minus 6 and positive 1. So the factors will be x minus 6 and x plus 1. Others might be familiar with the method of cross multiplication. So through trial and error, they would plug in 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 6 and 1, 1 and 6, then change the sign according to the need to get negative 6. It does not matter how we got there. Most importantly, what was the purpose of this? The purpose was to find the roots, meaning where this graph cut the x-axis. If you substitute that particular value of x in the function, in the original function, it will render a 0. When we were in grade 9, this started, but most of you won't remember grade 9, but grade 10, because the struggle is real in grade 10. So there you had to say x squared minus 5x is equal to 6. Then you said x minus 6 into x plus 1 is equal to 0. X minus 6 is equal to 0. Therefore x is equal to 6, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. X is equal to minus 1. Do you remember this process that happened before you got to this answer? This is the part that I would like to focus on. Do you know why we said x minus 6 is equal to 0 or x plus 1 is equal to 0? Some of you might have gotten the right answer here. It renders a solution, or gives us the roots, or it gives me my x-intercepts. So let's see. If I say x minus 6 into x plus 1 is equal to 0, and I substitute x is equal to 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 into x plus 1, render 0. Any number multiplied by 0 will give me 0. Likewise, if I substitute negative 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So 0 multiply with any number, It's going to give me 0. However, also when I plug that 6 into the function, it renders a 0. When I plug the -1 into the function, it also renders 0. What can you deduce from this? If the number is a factor, it will render a result of, yes, you guessed it right. If a number is a factor, it will render a result of 0 if I substitute it into the original function. So from past experience, we can safely conclude that f of 6 is equal to 0. Then x minus 6 is a factor. Remember the part that I said I want to focus on? What was the step before I got x is equal to 6? X minus 6 is equal to 0. So that was one of the factors. Right? With factor theorem, all I need to find is where the function will render a 0. Then calculate the other factors. I search as follows. I will first calculate f of 1. If it does not give me 0, I will go to f of minus 1. If f of 1 does not give me 0, I will go to the next one. But if the particular number renders a result of 0, then that is one of my factors. So I will use that to calculate my other factors. I can calculate the other factors by merely doing multiplication, or I can do long division, or I can do synthetic division. We are all on the same page here. Multiplication, long division, or synthetic division. Let's now look at an example as to how to solve this. Right, so x squared minus x minus 12 is divided by x minus 4. Sometimes they may give me the factor, sometimes they may not give me the factor. If they don't give me the factor, I will try here f of 1, f of minus 1, f of 2, f of minus 2, f of 3, f of minus 3, f of 4, f of minus 4. In this case, f of 4 renders a 0. So now I know x minus 4 is a factor. So if I divide x squared minus x minus 12 by x minus 4, I say, right, what must I multiply with x? That x to get x squared. I need to multiply by x. X multiplied by x gives me x squared, and x multiplied with minus 4 is minus 4x. When I subtract, then I must change the signs. X squared minus x squared is 0. X, negative x, plus 4x gives me positive 3x. Now I bring the negative 12 down. What do I have to multiply with x to get that 3x again? I need to multiply by 3. 3 multiplied by x is 3x. And 3 multiplied by minus 4 is minus 12. When I subtract, the signs will change, rendering 0. So the factors are x minus 4 into x plus 3. When I do synthetic division, x minus 4 is equal to 0. That means x is equal to 4. I list 4 and I take the coefficients of the expression, only the numbers tied to x. 1, minus 1, and minus 12. For those who don't know, x to the power of 0 is 1, so it will be standing there. So all the coefficients of the variable x. The first number I bring down as is. 4 multiplied by 1 gives me positive 4. The difference between negative 1 and 4 is 3. 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. The difference between 12 and 12 is 0. Remember, I'm dividing by x, so my exponents drop by 1. So 2 becomes 1, and 1 becomes 0, because 1 minus 1 is 0. X to the power of 0 is 1, so it will be 3 times 1, which is 3. So my answer here is x plus 3. Write it down. Let's quickly see how multiplication will work. What do I have to multiply with x to get x squared? I will have to multiply by x. What do I have to multiply by? Negative 4 to get negative 12. Positive 3. So there's my other factor. Easy to find with multiplication if I know my story. Yeah. One thing I do advise though is check your answer, because you need to get a negative 1 in the middle. So that will give me negative 4x. That will give me positive 3x. Difference between 4 and 3 is 1. So the sign of the biggest number, which is negative 4. So that answer is correct. In conclusion, we can try to do the following exercise, but please don't, because it looks so easy, do it your normal method. Try the method I showed, f of 1, f of 2, f of 3, and see how that works out for you. And then through synthetic division or long division, find the other factors.